You may or may not know this, but there are actually two important relationships that must happen before you can ever manifest a man or manifest the love of your life, the love that you desire to receive in this lifetime. So, there will be many soul contracted people that you will meet along the way to the man who can be the love of your life or the man that you will spend, a lot of your time with. But everybody's journey looks a little bit different. But there are two very important relationships that must happen before you can ever receive the man that is going to really create this loving, supportive path in your life. Otherwise, all relationships will reflect self abandonment, lack of trust, chaos, survival mode, needing to do more than you really desire to do, whether that's in the relationship or, on the way during your dating phase to get to the relationship. So, when you build these two relationships that I'm going to talk about in this video, that is how you will actually get to the third relationship, which is the man, the mortal man that you desire to spend time with and, have a loving relationship with in this lifetime. So, first and foremost, the first relationship is the relationship to yourself. The relationship that you have with yourself, your self concept on a mental level of how you think about yourself. What do you think you're worthy of? What do you think is possible for you? Creating this relationship with yourself because from a young age, we are programmed to believe certain things about ourselves. And we see and are conditioned to believing what we see in the media and in movies and in Disney princess stories and things like that, that we haven't actually built an authentic relationship to ourselves as women, especially because society wants to cut us off from this power to build a relationship with ourselves. So then we build expectations and assumptions of who we should be and what we should look like and all of these beauty standards and things, when really building relationship with yourself means accepting yourself exactly as you are. And this often gets talked about as these shadow parts of ourselves, the parts that we feel shameful about and we don't want to address. But all of that is energy that gets locked up in there. It gets stuck in these lower energetic emotions. And when we can actually accept these parts of ourselves and love ourselves exactly as we are, loving even how different we are from other people, that is when we alleviate this stuck energy. We actually get this energy moving and flowing and working for us. So you will actually have more aliveness. You will stop almost like self-rejecting yourself. You'll stop abandoning yourself and you'll actually start loving yourself so much that that starts to get mirrored back to you in life. So there is a level of like you'll go from awareness to knowing that, okay, I need to build this relationship with myself. I'm going to learn things about myself. Maybe like, I don't know, a lot of people learn like the information things about like attachment styles and how you are and all these things, but those are just labels. Those are labels. You want to learn those things about yourself so then you can understand, okay, I am this way, but I know that there's another way that I can be. So why does this label or this way of being feel comfortable? Why do I identify with that? How do I change who I am being? Which is looking at that deeper truth or the story that is underneath any sort of emotion that you might be feeling, whether that's guilt or shame, or, you just feel comfortable feeling small or limited or limiting your expression or not able to like almost trying to like just be appropriate rather than fully and authentically expressing who you are. We want to look at why does that feel comfortable? That's part of that old programming. And now we take that and we alchemize that into a new way of being. And then you get away from just this like awareness of, oh, I am this way. And you actually, the second step then of healing or manifesting is then to alchemize that, to make new meaning out of it, to relate to it differently. And then when you relate to it differently, you practice that and that becomes your new embodiment. And embodiment means you have a new norm, that you're no longer afraid to say the thing, but now you are the woman who says the thing because you're not afraid of what other people will think of you. And that also then creates this like highly magnetic way of being. And that is ultimately going to help you receive the love of your life from this more authentic place of you being in an authentic version of yourself, in a magnetic version of yourself, in a loving version of yourself that attracts a similar type of love. Now, the second most important relationship that must happen before you will receive a man in your life is the relationship to something greater than you. Now, this gets called all sorts of things: God, source, spirit, universe, uh, quantum field, consciousness. This is a relationship to, again, something bigger than yourself that also you, your human self, have access to. So, again, if we want to call it spirit, and you know that you're a spiritual being, we know that part of ourselves as humans, the human being, has that spirit within, that we are part human and part spirit, or, could be the soul self, or you can, I like to think about it as consciousness, the quantum field, and that I have the consciousness within me and I have the human side of me as well. I also like to say, like, you are God in a body. You're not fully God, but you have a body. Therefore, you are partly God in the body. And then there is God all around you. So, same, but different. You can also call it like energy, quantum field. The thing is that this relationship serves to alleviate you, rather, alleviate you from controlling how things are going to happen. And it helps you build trust. Trust from free from limitation. And when you can stop controlling the how things are going to happen, how you're going to meet the man, when you're going to meet the man, worried about meeting the man, you know that it's not just you that is creating the outcomes in life, but also that the most importantly is that you are co-creating with this larger energy, larger part of life, something bigger than you. You are co-creating with that. So you're not alone. You're not doing it alone. You don't have to effort your way. You don't have to go on a million dates. It is part of you and it is helping you and supporting you and bringing you your desires when you are building a relationship to it. And this is the power of being an energetic being, is connecting to the frequency of this larger perspective, this thing greater outside of you, because then you can connect with like your true nature of being. And that true nature is love. So it's bringing you back into alignment with love. This also builds your faith. Rather than staying in a relationship because you feel like there's not going to be another one, or you're dating this guy, but you're like, oh, I don't know, I don't like these things about him. And instead of like sticking it out, you're able to walk away because you're like, oh, I have faith that this larger part of me or is going to connect to all that is outside of me, that I'm not doing this alone, and that life is co-creating with me, so that when I create and choose a new direction, it's going to create with me in that direction. So this builds your faith, which allows you to surrender, which allows you to let go of the control and to not think that, oh, I need to go on 50 first dates in order to meet my man, that you're not doing it alone. It's not all on you. And this has been a game changer for me. And also this has allowed me to deepen into my worthiness as well, to understand that I am deeply worthy of everything that I desire because I am connected to the field, the energetic field, the God, source, spirit, universe that holds all possibilities. And the more often that I can bring myself into frequency, into relationship with larger perspective, which really just means to achieve the frequency, the feeling of love, which I do this a lot through meditations. Joe Dispenza's meditations, especially because he has you connecting to first nothingness to get to the neutrality, and then to imagine your ideal scenario, which has to do with love and well being and abundance and like the overflow and getting yourself into that frequency. So, that is extremely important in order for us to ultimately manifest, to ultimately magnetize the outcomes and the results that we desire in life. This these two relationships, relationship to yourself and relationship to something bigger than you, knowing that you're not doing it all alone, is exactly the two relationships which are going to support you on the way to actually the mortal relationship with a man. And that man then is going to be a reflection of your love, your trust, your faith in life. Yeah, he's going to be a reflection of the way that you feel about yourself within yourself, what you think you are worthy and deserving of. And that is what's going to foster, create this beautiful love of your life relationship. What I love about building these two relationships before ever receiving a man is that we recognize that love is always within us, that we are actually the ones that we are looking for, that having these relationships will actually unlock more of the love, the abundance, all the things that we desire in life. Because that third relationship with a man, or, it could be with money in the long run, or things that are ongoing in your life, that third relationship is always going to be a reflection of you. You, your relationship to yourself, your relationship that you have with a larger perspective. And so then we recognize that one, we recognize our creational power that happens from within, especially when we are looking at the pieces of building that relationship of our thoughts and beliefs that we think about ourselves, how we are reacting or responding to life, what we are making things mean. We start to recognize that the external can't control how we feel. That actually, you'll actually start to recognize that you control how you feel. And therefore, you don't need anything in the external to feel differently about yourself because you can create that feeling of love, of joy, of surrender, of peace, of gratitude. You can create all of those things here and now. And this is where you become unattached from the outcomes. You don't need a man in your life in order to feel love and joy and fulfillment. And that actually, once the man does come in, he will actually then give you an opportunity. That man is just an opportunity for you to continue to build this relationship to yourself and also relationship with the higher perspective, the larger perspective outside of you as well. Because the man is going to always mirror back to you where you still might be getting triggered. It's going to allow you to deepen into relationship to yourself and then ultimately relationship with him as well. And it creates this really beautiful dynamic. So when we can do this work of creating relationship to ourselves, relationship to yourself as a woman, relationship to yourself with the parts of you that maybe you haven't accepted yet, and then also create a relationship with something outside of you, this is when the relationship with the man ultimately deepens, where you free yourself from your own limitations. And we use the man as a tool. I mean, we're not using him, but from our self-awareness, we are seeing, oh, where am I ultimately still not free within myself? Where am I still limiting myself? Where am I still afraid to claim what it is that I want, or do things, have things be a certain way in your life because you're just afraid to ask for it because maybe you don't feel worthy of it. Like if you want a man to be the sole provider, but you haven't told him, hey, I would love for you to provide for our family. It's like, what's holding you back? What part of you feels like you're not worthy of receiving that? And that is ultimately what's important to look at. You want to look at, okay, well, what is going to make you feel good, not just entitled to ask for that, but actually like, well, I actually desire ease and presence and comfortability and the spaciousness to raise a family or whatever it is, and claiming that desire as what you want and letting the man see that as your truth, even though it feels vulnerable, so that he can actually have an opportunity to show up for your truth, to support your truth. So ultimately, this helps you become the most powerful, magnetic, free, loving, playful, joyous version of yourself because you're not waiting for an external outcome. You're not waiting for the man or in the long run, money or whatever else it is that you're creating in life. You're not waiting for those things to show up. You are actually empowering yourself now through your relationship to yourself and a relationship to God, source, spirit, universe. You are creating the experience, the felt experience of what you would like to receive now. And you do that through the relationship to yourself. And ultimately, healing is a manifestation journey. They're the same thing. Healing and manifesting are ultimately the same thing because you are allowing yourself to become more of yourself. And that's big in manifesting because becoming more of yourself means authentically being yourself. Therefore, you can receive then that which feels good for you. And when we look at it through the healing perspective, we're accepting the parts of ourselves that haven't been seen, that need alchemizing, that need a new truth underneath them so that we can ultimately express freely, happily, openly, when you build these relationships to yourself, with yourself and with your God source, spirit, universe, quantum field perspective, you unlock the possibilities to receive your desires because your energy will no longer be stuck. You will be moving on from just the self awareness piece to moving on to the alchemizing and embodiment phases that are needed for you to shift your energy. Remember, your man is just a few energetic shifts away. You become a new version of yourself because ultimately you are manifesting you. You are manifesting the version of you who can receive the man. And so you'll do that through building these relationships. All right, my love, drop a comment below. Let me know what resonated for you, and I'll see you in the next video.